All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. If you're watching live on Twitch, thank you so much. You can see me at twitch.tv/sadboysam, and that's in the description down below. We got people in the chat room here, and we are going to talk a little bit about New World and the beta. Basically, my final thoughts, where it sits, does it need to be delayed, all that shit. I've put 30 hours in, obviously less than a lot of people, but I was not trying to kill myself, considering I put the 30 hours in and then I said, yeah, I'm going to play this at launch. I don't want to do this over again. I don't want to level and all that stuff over again. So we decided to stop. We decided to stop leveling and then just kind of sat around and watch other streams, watch other YouTube videos about it. So I want to give my final thoughts. I had a whole document written out over here on this side. So if I'm looking that way, I am just reading my notes. But I'm basically going to go down, do my pros and cons, and then give my overall opinions of the New World beta. So yeah, let's get that started. We're going to start with the pros. The sound design of the game is amazing. Like mining, hearing musket shots, skinning animals, down to everything is really, really good. I don't know why my chat box isn't working. There should be a chat box going on here, but it's not working. Anyways, sound design is great in this game. I think they did a really good job of setting up the environment in Eternum, like the world of Eternum. I actually feel like the world is more alive, in my opinion, than, like, say, other games. I would say the other game that is a competitor to that would be ESO, because I always see people leveling. Now, with Final Fantasy's influx, you see people leveling everywhere, but that wasn't the case before. I went through and did the whole story of Final Fantasy. I literally was almost falling asleep in some zones because there's not a lot of people around. So, New World feels good. Is it going to stay like that, though? The way the game's designed, it should stay like that. There's no dungeon finder. There's none of that. So it's inherently more, you want to talk to people more, because George almost killed you. I said it's similar in the fact that the world is alive. That's what I meant. But let's go down to the next point here. I would like to see a little bit more dynamic events, like bigger world bosses or world bosses on the map. There's nothing on the map really that tells you if there's a world boss. There are world bosses. From what I've seen, they're not very mechanically in tune. It just turns out to be a lot of hack and slash, and I think that's going to be a lot of people's downside to this game, is like you just left click a lot. They need to add more variety in the mechanics of bosses. There are corrupted breaches out there in the world, which are basically their world events, which are fun. But again, there's not much mechanics. The enemy variety is lacking, and that's another point that we have in the cons. But they are good fundamental bones. I think a lot of this video is going to be like, yeah, the bone structure's there, the foundation's there, but they need to execute on it, and Amazon has done that. They've done this much work in like 6 to 8 months, which is crazy. They didn't even have dungeons and stuff like last year. So for them to add all that, it shows that they're listening. But is it ready for August 31st, which is, at the end of the month? I don't know. Do I think they'll delay it? I don't think they'll delay it again, considering it's been delayed twice or 3 times now at this point. So it's going to be a rush. Don't expect the game to be fully fleshed out when it launches, and that's just the way that this world works right now with the MMOs. ESO launched, it was awful. Final Fantasy launched, they had to wipe the whole game out. WoW launched, and no one really knew much about MMOs, as unless the hardcore base from like EverQuest and those people. But WoW kind of changed the game, and now WoW is dying. So it's hard to say where the game's going to be, but it's going to launch content light. But remember, it's $40 and there's no sub fee, so you got to keep that in mind. The overhaul for questing was really good. with the voice acting. I did watch the preview. I did not play in the preview, but I did watch the preview. Watch Asmongold. I watched a bunch of streamers go through the preview, and it was really dead with no voice acting. Now that they've added voice acting to it, it really made the story more interesting. What story there is. We just need a little bit more quest variety, and that needs to be fleshed out. That was all fixed within like a year from the preview. So Amazon's over here, they're doing voice acting, they're doing dungeons, they're doing a lot. I will say I do see a lot of people saying, you know, oh, it's crazy, it's $1 trillion company that can't put out a good MMO. This is Amazon Game Studios. It's not Amazon. Amazon pays Amazon Game Studios. Amazon's not going to put all their money into Amazon Game Studios if they don't think the game's going to make money. The game, they've had bad launches before. Amazon funding themselves, basically saying, well, how much money are we going to give you for launches that haven't proven themselves? So they need to prove themselves. So content will come over time. That will grow over time. But you got to look at what we have and look at what they've done over time. I would assume with future expansions they would keep adding to the main story or questing, or take like the ESO approach where like each expansion is its own like contained story. Considering you fight Captain Thorpe in one of the dungeons from 0 to 60, so if they go 60s, 70s, is it going to be another little story there? We don't know, but these are some of the symptoms that we get from a sandbox PvP focused game to PvE theme park style, and they're gonna shape those out hopefully, but those are some things to keep in mind. The trade skills are great. I love mining. I love freaking chopping trees down. I could chop trees down all day. It brings me back to RuneScape, and I loved RuneScape. I still play it sometimes to this day. So I did feel like crafting was a little weird. I didn't really understand some of like how to upgrade things. I did not look into it that much though, so that's my fault. But I just felt like I didn't know how to get the best crafted gear. I assume putting Azoth in and different things is what's going to upgrade it, or the higher level you have, or the higher level resources. But I didn't take that much time to look into it. It was just fun though. It's very simple to crafting. Like, you know how to make iron ignites. You know how to make, use the ore and turn it into something else. So it's not like it's confusing. The open world PvP has been generally pretty fun. A lot of controversy with balancing PvP and considering it being scaled or not. I think level scaling should be there, but I am more of the casual base. I honestly think scaling should be there. No one's going to flag if scaling's not there, and that's just the way it is. Again, another symptom of going from a hardcore PvP looter shooter, but a looter MMO to PvE focus. So I'm sorry, PvPers, I don't think you're gonna get it. The beta, for my experience, the beta servers were really good. They were doing a lot of stress testing on it, and that's what the beta's for. So sorry to the people that think that it should be a fully fleshed out game, but they're really concerned about the betas, or the beta servers, and getting the servers correct for launch. That's, I think, the main goal of this beta. Everyone thinks the main goal of the beta is to find out what content they're lacking and to make that by August 31st. That's not going to happen. It's going to come out content light, and I think we all have to kind of accept that. But they're going to take that feedback and implement it down the line. Now, the servers were pretty good in my experience. We played on Hyperborea on a West server. We had some instances where it was bad. I mean, they were stress testing, and then it would get really bad, and then the next day it was fine. So I didn't have that big of an issue. Obviously, I wasn't playing on a huge streamer server. You get what you get there. So I thought the combat was pretty fun as another pro. I think it just needs tweaking. Maybe we add another ability or two abilities. But it's different, okay? I play Final Fantasy. I play ESO. ESO is really fun in my opinion too. Final Fantasy, I have like a 30-button rotation. Sometimes it feels good to kind of sit back and not have to do that. I enjoy the combat, and that's just my opinion. I'd like to see animation canceling come back. I know that was in the preview. I did not play in the preview, but it just feels a little too clunky right now. They need to do something about the animation canceling or blocking in between hits, just to give the players what they want here. Everyone wants that. It's gonna make PvP more dynamic. It's gonna make fighting more dynamic. Um, you know, I get that I commit to a swing, but it just doesn't feel right. They added dungeons, which is huge. Like, we need to play them more. I've watched some of the content, but that they're there is already big enough. And again, that was all added within like a year. They added 6. It's going to launch with 6. The one thing that I will say, and that gets into the cons, are they just need more. They need more variety in enemies, and we're going to talk about that. But the dungeons being there is awesome. So that's literally my pros list. It doesn't sound maybe like a lot, but I think it's good. Dulce, what's up, dude? Holy shit, you're gifting 3 subs? Dude, I'm doing a YouTube video. Thank you so much, my man. Holy fuck, man. Thank you, dude. I'm going to keep that in the video. That's awesome. What's up, man? When's dinner? Dinner's coming. Don't worry about that. All right, let's go into my cons here. The character customization, like, it needs to rework again. It's there. It's all right. I know it's already been reworked. It's just not to the standard with MMOs right now. Like, I guess it's similar to WoW in a way, but you can't be another race, right? So that's one of the big things. I think we need to have a lot more customization with our characters. Like come on, at least a height slider maybe. I know it's really hard to do that. It just feels kind of weird that it wasn't there to begin with. Height sliders would be the first thing. And then maybe playable races down the line. I don't really give a shit about that, though. I'd rather just see more tattoos, more facial expressions, more looks in general. Everyone literally looks the same. And then along with that, they need to add a barber in the game. Once you pick what your character looks like, you can't change. That needs to change. Again, another symptom of going from PvP focused, where most players don't really care about that play a lot of hardcore PvP games, but now you're going to PvE. We need to be able to change our look in-game after we've made our character, new haircuts, new tattoos, everything. And they're going to monetize it, so there's that. I think fighting the ghost or the floating enemies feels really awful. I don't know, it's just my opinion with those. Maybe you guys felt the same. It just needs to be tweaked. Like, the hitboxes need to be tweaked there. It just felt really hard. The feedback feels weird. I don't even like the way it sounds when you hit them. I feel like I'm hitting it with a pool noodle. Considering it's a ghost, it's kind of hard. But I do feel more oomph when I hit other characters like the zombies and such. But the ghosts just feel weird. Questing still needs to be reworked. Like we kind of mentioned that. We need more variety in quests. I really did like what they've done with the quest so far, but we still need to see more. The travel time is an issue, but we'll get into that in a little bit. There's no raids. They added dungeons, which is huge. I would like to see raids. 10-man, 8-man raid would be awesome. I'm sure that's in the works. Again, they added dungeons within a year. It's been a couple months since they've added those, so when are we going to see the raids? I don't know, maybe in the next year, but I bet you they're going to do something like that. No swimming animation. That seems really weird to have on here. It just feels awkward. It literally feels like they're forcing us to use the land as the transport, and maybe that's because they didn't want people swimming across because of PvP. I don't know where that came from. It's weird. You have a breath gauge, but you don't have an animation. You just sink to the bottom. You know, how immersive are we trying to get? Yes, you couldn't swim in that armor, but come on, it's an MMO. Just add the animation. There's like even a dungeon, the first dungeon, you have to go down into the water to get a chest, and it just feels weird if you get into the deeper spots. I was split up with my buddies at launch. That kind of sucked. I know there are ways to work around it, but maybe we need to have another option. It's really weird that they're splitting everyone up. I get why they're doing it, but it's hard when your friend spawns on the bottom of the map and you spawn in the middle of the map and you got to run around and get up to each other. We will talk about that in another video before launch, but you will have to run to meet up with your friends. Once you get out of the tutorial, churn in the quest. Do not pick up the next quest. Just run to your friend zone, and then you can do the quest there. That's how you get around it in short, but that just feels kind of awkward. Especially when you're like, hey, let's everyone get on, and then we're, oh, I'm at the middle of the map, I'm at the bottom of the map. That sucks. There was no quest sharing that needs to be added. It really, really needs to be added. Quest sharing, 100%. Quests don't line up, and as simple as that. Some of the faction quests do not line up with the PvE side. The PvP ones do, and that's just because they're forcing PvP. But PvE, like, hey, my boss is in the bottom left. Oh, I got to go to the top right. That's kind of annoying. I'd love to have a quest sharing system or quest sync like in World of Warcraft or ESO and those things. That way you can do those quests with your friends. Hard to quest together, basically impossible. Yeah, that's needs to be worked, and I hope they see that. We need to see more optimization. Obviously, 3090s were melting. That's just that's the 3090 issue, but I think so. But my computer was getting chunked in towns. I have a 2080 Super and a Ryzen 7 3800X. I can stream it though and play it on one PC, so I guess that's good. But I was also playing on high settings, but you just have a lot of frame rate loss in those cities. We did see an improvement. I don't know if they did anything, but we saw a weird improvement where it was more, the frame rate was more stable, and then my frame rate outside the city was actually worse. So I don't know what they did, but there was some weird change there. Healing is way overpowered right now. If you've seen the meta on YouTube, people are running Great Axe and a Life Staff. They're basically impossible to kill. It's likely to get nerfed. It needs to be nerfed. The town board. Nerf the town board more. Obviously, they nerfed it a little bit in beta. It needs to have a little bit of less XP return on that. The mid-game leveling felt kind of slow, and that's just from my perspective. I don't know what everyone else is thinking, but you get up to like 20, 25, and you feel like it was a good pace, and then all of a sudden it slows down a lot. And going to other towns to do those main quests, the town quests don't matter. You're going to go to other towns to do the town board quests, which is, again, another con. They need to change that around, make questing more, incentivize questing a little bit more, give you more XP. Don't just go to other towns to do town board quests. That doesn't sound very fun. So that mid-game needs to be changed slightly. Running the dungeons is pretty good XP, though. And Corrupted Breaches. Corrupted Breaches is good XP as well. All right, Wars. In my opinion, I don't think Wars look very fun. The point, in my opinion, is just so small. The point is way too small, and it just becomes a cluster of enemies, and you just spam your abilities, and whoever comes out on top comes out on top. It doesn't seem very strategic in any way. Maybe it's because we're all new to it and we don't know how to play it. But there was very little rotations in the wars. From what I saw some teams actually trying to just like get the enemy team on one point and then just quick rotate, hold the point, spam all the abilities on the new point. And since they got there first, they likely won. I think wars need to be touched up a little bit. I was thinking maybe they make the zone a little bit bigger, the capture zone, or they spread them out a little bit more. But I don't know what's going to get done before launch. Likely nothing. But I'd like to see how that evolves. Now, wars look fucking awesome, though, and I'm sure they're a lot of fun, especially with a lot of friends in your guild or your faction. But it just looked like a cluster, especially for me. I'm going to be playing a tank, and it just looked really hard from some tank views that I watched. The high-end dungeons have foundations of mechanics, but I think they need to have a little bit more, especially some of the end ones that I've been watching. Again, healing healing is correlated to this. You can heal so easily and overheal yourself that like the dungeon is not even challenging. So either they need a nerf healing or they need to add more boss mechanics. I think the bosses have some good mechanics, but they need to have more, especially with a game like this where you're gonna be, if you're melee, you're huddled around the boss and you're on top of the boss, and it doesn't seem like a lot of bosses have any cleave or anything to like push you off. It would be nice to see that and add some differences there. That was all my cons, though. In conclusion, I think that they made huge moves to make this game where it is today. I think it's decent enough to be launched. I don't think they're going to delay it. I'm excited. I'm going to play the hell out of it at a launch, and the biggest reason being it's $40, no subscription, and literally I got a ton of playtime in beta, and I had fun, and I had way more. We just had in chat 118 hours in beta, but like there's way more playtime to go around for $40. I think that's a pretty good deal, and to me it doesn't seem like an MMO where I'm like the fear of missing out. I have to get on every day. I have to do this. Maybe we put it down for a few weeks, we come back and we can play, and that's how I treat ESO right now. Is I put it down, I come back, I do the stories, and I think that's a good fit for me personally. If you're not into that and you would really like to have, an MMO where you got to log on every day or else you're going to be left in the dust, then maybe it's not for you. But $40 for the amount of content and the amount of work that Amazon's going to put into it, it seems like it's going to be pretty good. My one worry would be monetization. Don't fuck it up, Amazon, with the cash up. Just keep it to dyes and freaking skins. I don't care at that point. Don't sell currency. Don't sell fast travel. You're gonna make a lot of people mad and really hurt the game. So we'll hopefully they stick to that. Mounts. I would like mounts. Who doesn't like mounts? I think they're cool cosmetic. I think they're cool flexing on people when you get a rare mount. Do I think mounts would work in this game? I don't know. The game isn't really built for mounts. Think about the geometry of the world. Like, say you took your mount off the main road, it's going to feel kind of clunky. There's a lot of boulders. There's a lot of stuff in the way, a lot of dead trees. I don't think it's necessarily built for mounts. I would love to see them add mounts if they expand the world. Or maybe they make mounts only in a specific world section of the world. I don't know what they're gonna do. I would, if they introduced it, I would like it. If it's introduced right, though, that's a hard part. And PvP concerns. I know there's a lot of concerns for PvP. How do you balance mounts? I know you got to put a big timer on or something. If you get into combat, you can't mount, so you can't just run away. But we'll see what they do with mounts. But yeah, that's it. That's my impressions. We'll see. But I'm going to play the shit out of it at launch. And I'm super excited. And I hope you guys are too. Make sure you just hit the like and subscribe button down below. Comment what you guys are ready for in New World. And I'll see you in Eternum. Peace.